I lied to everyone for 5 years straight, and the most disturbing part is that no one ever questioned anything I said. Not my family, not my closest friends, and not even the people who trusted me more than anyone else in their lives. I created a version of myself that looked successful, confident, and completely in control, even though none of it was real. And over time, that fake version became so convincing that even I started believing parts of it myself. But here's the truth that no one talks about when it comes to lying for this long. The longer you live inside a lie, the more it begins to control you instead of protecting you. And when reality finally catches up, it doesn't just expose you, it completely destroys everything you built. What happened to me was not just embarrassing. It was the moment I realized I had completely lost myself. It started in a moment of weakness, when I felt like I was falling behind everyone around me in life. People I knew were moving forward, achieving goals, building careers, and creating lives that actually made sense. Meanwhile, I was stuck, confused, and struggling to figure out what I was even supposed to be doing next. So when someone casually asked me how things were going in my life, I didn't tell them the truth. Instead, I told them everything was going great, that I was making progress, and that I had things under control. That one sentence changed everything, because it created a version of me that people immediately respected more. I saw the difference instantly in how they reacted, how they spoke to me, and how they started viewing me. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was behind anymore, even though nothing had actually changed. That feeling of validation was powerful, and without realizing it, I became dependent on it very quickly. So the next time someone asked me about my life, I repeated the lie, but this time I added more details. I talked about opportunities that didn't exist, progress that never happened, and plans that were completely imaginary. And again, people believed me, supported me, and treated me like I was someone who had everything figured out. At that point, it stopped being about avoiding embarrassment and started becoming about maintaining an identity that wasn't real but felt better than the truth I was trying so hard to hide from everyone. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and before I realized it, years had already passed like this. 5 years of pretending, 5 years of maintaining a lie, and 5 years of slowly losing connection with reality. Because when you lie for that long, you don't just fool other people, you start disconnecting from yourself completely. I couldn't even recognize who I was anymore without the stories I had created to define myself. Every conversation became a calculated performance, where I had to think carefully before saying anything at all. I avoided certain topics completely, especially anything that could lead to questions I wasn't prepared to answer. I started limiting interactions with people who knew too much, because they were the biggest risk to my fake reality. At the same time, I surrounded myself with people who only knew the version of me I had created. It was easier that way because I didn't have to constantly worry about being exposed or contradicting myself. But that kind of life comes with a cost that no one realizes until it's too late. The cost is isolation, because you can never truly connect with people when you are not being your real self. Even when I was surrounded by others, I felt completely alone, because no one actually knew who I really was. And deep down, I knew that if they did, everything would change instantly and permanently. That fear stayed with me every single day, growing stronger and heavier as time continued to pass. Until one day, everything I was afraid of finally started happening right in front of me. It was a normal situation, a casual conversation that I had experienced hundreds of times before without any issues. But this time was different, because two people I had told different stories to were in the same place together. At first, everything seemed fine. And I didn't think much about it until the conversation shifted unexpectedly. One of them asked me about something specific that I had mentioned months ago in a completely different context. Without thinking, I started answering based on the version I had told them previously. But then the other person interrupted, looking confused, and repeated something completely different that I had told them. In that exact moment, everything inside me froze because I realized there was no way to fix this situation anymore. Two different lies, two different versions, and both of them were now colliding at the worst possible time. I tried to adjust my answer, to blend the stories together, but it only made things more obvious and suspicious. The confusion on their faces quickly turned into realization, and I could see the trust starting to break instantly. Then came the sentence that completely ended everything I had built over those 5 years. They said, "That's not what you told me before," and suddenly the entire room felt different. The silence that followed was unbearable because it carried the weight of everything I had been hiding. In that moment, I had two choices: either create another lie and go deeper, or finally face the truth. And for the first time in years, I chose the truth, even though I knew it would destroy everything. I admitted everything: the lies, the fake stories, and the reality I had been avoiding for so long. It was uncomfortable, it was painful, and it was one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life. Some people were angry, some were disappointed, and some simply didn't know how to react at all. But something unexpected happened after that moment. Something I had not felt in a very long time. I felt relief, real relief, because I no longer had to remember lies or maintain a version of myself that wasn't real. For the first time in 5 years, I was finally free from the pressure that had been controlling my entire life. And even though I lost the image I had created, I started gaining something much more valuable. I started finding myself again, slowly, honestly, and without the need to impress anyone anymore. If you are watching this right now and feel like you are hiding parts of your life, understand clearly that you are not alone. No matter how long you have been pretending or how deep your lies have gone, the truth still has the power to change everything. It might break certain relationships and damage your image, but it will finally give you the freedom you have been missing. Because at the end of the day, living a fake life will slowly destroy you more than any painful truth ever could. So choose honesty even when it feels uncomfortable, because that is the only way to truly take back control of your life. And if this story connected with you or made you think differently, make sure you subscribe for more real and powerful stories like this. Because sometimes the hardest truths are exactly what we need to hear in order to finally change our lives.